I'm Brian Patrick, joined by Alan Holdren, who is on the ground in Rome. Alan, even as the Pope is saying that he doesn't want to be referred to as a super Pope, I understand the Italian media is using the word super to describe some of his reforms.
That's right. There's talk around Rome right now about the next innovation in Pope Francis reforms. These are super ministries. Just like last week, there was an oversight organization department created to oversee the financial aspect of the Vatican. It's called the Secretariat for the Economy. There could be coming up a new Secretariat for Communications, and another one for the pastoral care of the laity. Now, these super ministries, as they're called, could be led by friends of the Pope. Now, I say this because the last three important appointments made by the Pope were personal friends of his that were tapped to oversee different parts of this Secretariat for the Economy and other financial aspects of the Holy See. Now, these men were from other places than Italy. This shows that the Pope is looking to distance himself from the Italian bureaucracy, which has really kind of made the Vatican a slower organism, perhaps. And Vatican officials have told me that looking elsewhere will tend to clean this up, and he's done that in the appointment of an Australian, of a Spaniard, and a Maltese in recent days.
The Pope also apparently trying to distance himself from this idea of a super Pope. In fact, he mentioned that in an interview. Tell us more about that interview. He's very personal.
Yeah, this interview came out today. It was published in the Corriere della Sera, which is an Italian newspaper, and we see a real human side to the Pope. He talks about being a person who laughs, who cries, who sleeps tranquilly, and who has friends. He said he's a normal person, and this really comes through. We see his pastoral approach, also his relationship with Benedict XVI, who now lives there in the Vatican with him. He says about Benedict that he's not just a statue in a museum, and that he seeks him for counsel. He also talks about other things like how he calls a widow every month, just once, to check in on her and see how she's doing. And also here in the Vatican in these days, people are remembering that this is the one-year anniversary since his election. We caught up to the director of the Centro, the Vatican's television center, to hear a little bit more about this.
It is a story of the gestures and the words of the magisterium of Pope Francis over the course of this year, which in some way also offers a view of the witness and legacy of Pope Benedict. Pope Benedict, who bids farewell to his pontificate, saying that it is important to convert our hearts, not scandalizing ourselves by the sins that we think others always commit, but making our hearts docile and open to the action of the Holy Spirit. Pope Francis picks up this testimony and helps us precisely in this way, on a path of discernment, a path on which he asks us to open our hearts so that the gospel of God can live in us.
Well, Brian, so this video really shows what the events of last year were like, from the transition from one pope to the other, and also the important events in that human side of Pope Francis ever since.
What a beautiful look at an incredible year for our church and the world. Thank you, Alan Holdren.